Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pizzette, DevOps engineer Justin Dennison, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette. Those of you who are frequent, lifetime viewers of Technado might recognize our guest, or if you're just listening on audio, you probably don't because he hasn't spoken yet. But we have Joseph Holbrook here, who is a blockchain expert, and I've been told because we're old friends and had him on the show before that I can call him Joe. So, Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you down, and didn't realize originally you were so close, just up the road about an hour and a half. So good to have you actually in the studio here. And yeah, we're going to talk all about blockchain. We're going to talk about your new book there that Don has, Architecting Enterprise Blockchain Solutions. Very thick.
I know. For our listeners out there, I'm holding up a book, which is this is the talent level that I've been reduced to.
Yeah.
You are the showcase showdown.
I'm the Vanna
The Vanna White.
The Vanna White.
Yeah. Whatever.
Are you
What are they called on
work?
Parker's Beauties? Is that what they used to be called on Price is Right back?
But that's insensitive.
Yeah, back.
But
Well,
that's
you
what
can,
they were
you can
called.
be beautiful
That's
inside
a
and out.
fact, not a statement of.
Yeah, exactly. That's not my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, it is your opinion.
Please send letters to Justin Dennison, care of IT Pro TV.
I always love fan mail.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
hell.
Justin's going to run our first segment here where we get to know Joe or remind ourselves about Joe in our initial segment here, Rapid Fire Questions.
Who do you work for?
What's new?
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
All right, Joe, so here's the point. We're going to ask you a series of questions. You got 45 seconds to a minute to answer them.
Okay.
If you run out of time, we're going to buzz you, and we're going to make you be quiet. And we're going on to the next question. All right,
The
so
Klingon pain.
I wouldn't
switch,
want
are they-
that.
are they
yeah,
at the ready?
it could be rough times. And to get us started, we're going to get our most expert guest, Peter. Peter, take it away.
Oh, that's me? Okay. And we've already started the clock, so you've got less than 45 seconds. For each one. All right. First up, so we've had you on before, but can you remind us what MyBlockchainExperts's is all about, the company that you created?
Sure, absolutely. So My Blockchain Experts is really focused on promoting blockchain. It's not really about training, but it's more about promoting and really helping the community of blockchain understand more about blockchain, but also the community of IT understand about blockchain. Because one of the facets of blockchain that I'm sure you're probably familiar with is everybody correlates blockchain to Bitcoin and Bitcoin is blockchain. Well, that's not really true. And I'm really an enterprise technologist.
Well, Peter,
I
what do
didn't
you
even have to push the button
Yeah,
because
you had to-
he got us
that
in
was
the-
great.
I was
Great-
in my
great
head.
job.
He's on the ball.
He was like 1 and 2. And
Justin, go. You're wasting
I
time.
know. Well, I got to give him a challenge. All right. So since the last time you've been here, you've written a book. And well,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about architecting enterprise blockchain solutions, which kind of leads from the previous question?
Absolutely. The book was actually designed more for a technologist to read and actually understand how we would take a technology like blockchain and actually use it in an enterprise. Because one of the weaknesses that I found in blockchain books was it was either development or Bitcoin, development of Bitcoin. There was no like in the middle for like a pre-sales architect, systems architect, enterprise architect, etc.
All right, so like you mentioned, people think of a blockchain, they think of Bitcoin, but there are other uses for it, and I've seen it used with like Storj for storage and a couple of other projects out there. What area do you think is going to be the next big use for blockchain?
Excellent question. I think right now it's really still fintech or logistics, but the area that I'm really seeing a lot of demand is around IoT, so Internet of Things.
Like how so exactly? I'm curious.
Well, there's a few things to that as far as like how that would sort of come in, but basically.
Oh, I'm sorry. Time.
Man.
No, go ahead.
These guys are cruel.
I was like, man, he is doing too good. We put a time limit. He's like, Internet of Things next.
Follow-up question, and no.
Yeah, and we're done. I got a question though. I know you're just sitting there talking about how blockchain and Bitcoin kind of get synonymously talked about. where do you keep your bit money at? Like, what do you use, and can I have some? If you do, just get me into it. Get my feet wet.
That's a great question. It is a sharing economy, right? So, Uber and Airbnb, and why not have like a pool of Bitcoin to share, right? Or Ethereum.
Right. I just need some. It's like them pennies at the
So
at the
speaking of
store.
pool, where is your pool, and can I get a ladle?
Yeah.
Is this cyber panhandling?
Yes,
You're talking about like a Scrooge
Listen,
McDuck
we'll
kind of
work for
pool?
Bitcoin. Okay.
I feel
Do I
like
need
there's
a
a
license?
phishing screen scheme or something here.
Can you go ahead and click on that for me? That'd be great.
Is Bitcoin your cryptocurrency of choice, though?
Mainly, so that's a real good question. I like Litecoin for some reason, and also Ethereum. Bitcoin, it just seems so volatile, and it just, I guess I'm sort of like outside of like the mainstream. I like the altcoins more than Bitcoin.
So you'll be sending me Ethereum
Sure. How much would you like?
as much as you'll give me.
As much as the ransomware.
Is this like
demand.
golf? If I ask for less, is that better? I'm not sure how this works.
All right, I shortchanged you earlier, but you've got 45 seconds left here on the clock on this. So if you could tell us about the IoT, how you see blockchain fitting in there.
Absolutely. So with IoT, I think a lot of it comes down to being able to take, for example, remote devices like Alexas. For not that I'm saying Jeff would allow that, but basically taking devices like remote sensors, thermostats, etc., and being able to push them off onto a blockchain-based solution, such as like Hyperledger, for example. And the reason that companies would want to do that is because it's going to provide, first of all, transparency, but also the ability to remove some what I would call overhead that typically is part of a traditional database. So that could be another reason that we see that. But definitely that's more of an offshoot of like logistics in some respects, I think. But definitely IoT is I think, probably the next potential area.
It makes sense. All right. Well, a lot of the news we're talking about this week actually applies to what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and jump right in with our first story with the big news of the week.
And now, the news.
All right, so the day we are filming this is actually Super Tuesday here in the United States. And for those of you outside the U.S. or with extreme voter apathy, that is the day that I think 14 states have their primary elections. So the big ones, California and Texas among those. And our first article is from Coindesk.com. West Virginia ditches blockchain voting app provider Voatz. I'm guessing on the name.
Voatz.
Voatz. Voatz. Like,
It doesn't. It's still a lot
I
of
see what
confidence
they've done.
if they're like, put a Z on it and add an A.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty obvious. I didn't think anybody would screw that up.
That was going to be like a joke from House, Oh, I see what you did there.
See, 'cause there's a whole different way to spell votes.
So you mean West Virginia's rejecting technology?
Voatz.
That's ridiculous.
Well, so we were asking Joe just a minute ago about other places where blockchain could be used, and one way that's been posited the last few years is that it would be phenomenal for elections, right? Because you have a immutable ledger of transactions. So somebody casts a vote, it gets added to the blockchain, and it can't be modified. If it gets modified in any way, there's a record that shows it. That sounds perfect for managing votes. And so an application called Voatz, or a company called Voatz, was created that made an
Or
app.
Voatz.
Or Voatz, sure.
We don't know.
I've heard it both ways.
Voatz, I rolled 5 fives. So either way, they created an app that would manage this. Now, unfortunately, we had that huge debacle we reported on 2 weeks ago in Iowa with the Shadow whatever app. Doesn't really matter. They're out of business.
Yeah.
So that company where the app choked under pressure, wasn't able to file the results, and people are so sensitive over voting results right now that everybody has just been dumping the apps left and right, and this is the next one that falls on the chopping block.
Well, did they go away from it just because, hey, this is a technology voter app, and not because we didn't think it was going to work?
So all they said was that there were concerns about cyber tampering.
But like you said, we would have a record in this case if there were
So
cyber tampering.
the article was kind of ambiguous about it. They're like, it's possible that there could be some issues, maybe, if things go wrong, maybe.
Yeah, I think the article was sort of hinting at we don't really want to say why we're not going to use it because we really don't know why we can't use it. So, I think there's more to that story.
Yeah, the owner or the CEO or something was like, well, they can't be exploited in practicality. They're only theoretical, something of that nature. And I was like, I think that's how most things start.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the interesting thing about blockchain is that it doesn't stop people from hacking it. You can hack it, right? But there's a record of it. So it's been hacked versus like previous elections where there's always people, accusations of voter fraud. So did it happen? Maybe, maybe not, right? We don't really know. With something like blockchain, we would actually be able to know that. And the idea of it being distributed across multiple devices means that I know that the government can't tamper with it. The Democratic, the DNC, they can't do it. The Republicans, doesn't matter. Like nobody can tamper with it without a visible record being created.
Yeah, and I guess we're at the point, and I think it kind of says it here at the end of the article, that if there's any fear, rational or not, about it, and it's going to make people not use it, that's a problem for something like voting. You can't have distrust.
The Deep South?
Yeah, the deep state in the Deep South? Yes.
All of them. They're like, no, I don't trust it.
I love how they say, though, like, no, we just can't trust it yet. So they go back to paper ballots where dead people vote every year.
Yeah. There's more people that voted than live here. Well, I heard that the Russian engineer that made this, he tested it heavily, and it should be fine.
What was his name?
Sergey. Hold on, where'd it go?
Yeah, Sergey Kronkowski or
That's
something.
It. Yeah, I think it was
Mikhail
Gorbachev. Yes, Mikhail Gorbachev made this. Junior. Mikhail Gorbachev Jr.
Now, I do suppose that like 50% attacks would be valid here, right? Joe, is that a realistic thing?
That definitely could be a scenario, depending on, of course, the node types that they use and the distribution. But I would say yes, without knowing any more, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't think about that, the node type. So if they controlled all the nodes, then a 50% attack wouldn't be possible.
Shouldn't,
Yeah.
unless if there's a really rogue insider.
Raise your hand if you know what the hell they're
You
talking
don't want an
Well, I
Equifax
think I know
moment, right?
a 50% attack, because we've talked about this before. It's like when if more
We
than
pay you
50%
50% of your
of
money.
the exactly. If more than 50% of the of
Miners.
people agree that something took place, then it took place, basically, in
Yeah.
terms of the ledger.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that PVR
I
knew
learned
what
a
I was
thing.
talking about.
They did this on Silicon Valley.
made this up.
They did this on Silicon Valley
Oh,
when
that's
they
the
had
only
the
reason.
all right.
their
Yeah, so in Bitcoin mining and really anything that uses blockchain, right? You have people who are using it, and all of their transactions are being digitally signed by the people who are mining the coin. Although in this case, there's no coins, so there wouldn't be traditional miners, right? So in a situation like Bitcoin, if you controlled more than 50% of the miners at any time, and anybody could bring up a big data center, that you could push through false transactions. And since now more than 50% of the nodes are reporting that's a valid transaction, that would become the new truth. That's really hard to do on a public blockchain. But here, with this one, it would be almost impossible. If they said, all right, we're not letting anybody in the public do the mining, we're doing it.
Yeah, the
We're doing
voter
it.
isn't the one. I can't
Right.
get 50% of the population to say, hey, go with me on this. But I'll explain it to you later, Justin. So
Thanks. I'll explain how you're not getting paid later.
is he in charge of that somehow? I didn't know
yeah,
that was a
yeah.
thing.
It's
Hey, well, stick around. We've got more news coming up right after this quick break on Technado with John Pizzette.
How do IT pros stay up to date? With the IT Pro TV webinar series, of course. Twice a month, IT Pro TV presents a webinar available at no charge.
We are here talking about high velocity. Yeah.
But today we're talking those wonderful. I loved his, like you said, the alliteration of the hidden hacker hardware.
Wouldn't that be really, really cool if we did that? Oh, look at this.
You can catch IT Pro TV webinars live or on demand at your convenience. See them all. Visit www.itpro.tv/webinars.
All right, welcome back to Technado with Don Pizzette. We've got a lot of news to get to. We also have our friend Joe Holbrook here in the studio with us, teaching us about all things blockchain, and especially Justin, who really doesn't know. He doesn't even know what a 50%.
He's never going to let this go.
no,
I didn't even know what it was called, though, just now when I tried.
I had to really refresh. We was about to get this one flagged real hard.
Justin is a rare breed of developer, right? Because he's a developer that could kick your ass.
Yeah, true.
Like, Peter got headbutted. Didn't see it coming. It was
Justin's
a
got a
large-
really hard frontal bone there.
All right, let's get to our first article here from Creative Blog with a Q.
That's
Oh,
Bloq,
geez.
bro.
Bloq.
I'm just not.
I thought you were a blockchain. Like,
and then there goes his cred.
Yeah. Jackass.
Okay,
this Voatz.
this first headline: Apple's Apple's $400 Mac Pro wheels have another huge problem. And so, is the first huge problem just the fact that they're $400?
That is the first huge problem, yes.
So this is for like the $52,000.
It'll fit on the $6,000
sorry.
one. It'll fit on the $6,000
Okay,
one too.
good.
So the new Mac Pro came out back in, was it December? We reported on it because it was outrageously expensive, right? Starts
November.
at $6,000, right? $5,999. So it's already a steal, but it just sat on the floor. And so people said it needed feet to be lifted up, or even better, wheels.
Oh.
And so it's taken a few months, but Apple finally released a wheel kit. The wheel kit is $400.
Which is only $100 a wheel, if my math is right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is accurate. Yeah, which is an outrageous price considering you go to Home Depot and get some little casters for.
Well, I mean, hell, I got a Harbor Freight for that. Like,
Yeah.
I got 600 wheels for $4.
All right, but if I went to Home Depot, what would those wheels have that these wheels don't?
They would most likely have at least one brake.
Secondly, I could get them all terrain.
That would be cool.
Ride it down a hill.
I just saw our CEO run by chasing after his
dog.
his Mac. No, his Mac.
oh.
Because that's the problem. If you look in this article from creativeblock.com with a Q, there's a picture of a video of a guy
The floor is
just
not
letting go
level.
and
So apparently
starts rolling away.
like, friction and resistance of these wheels are about the same as that door over there on Studio 4.
Yeah, that thing,
Like zero resistance.
that thing will take your fingers off.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
So imagine your $50,000 Mac just rolling away down the hallway.
With your, what was it, $300 display stand with your
Oh, yeah.
10 grand display it took to it.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
man,
up
all
fast.
that is
Well,
broke.
the Twitter user at Johnny Ive Parody has created the Wedge Pro for only $999, which that's per wheel, which is basically just it looks like a door stop that you just stick under the wheel there.
But look at the form and
No, it's
function.
beautiful. It's
I
beautiful.
feel for that kind of money, they should have made the case out of like resin cash. Just like $100 bills just wrapped around this thing.
Did you ever see that Conan O'Brien like a little cutaway skit where they talk about the iPad Mini and the iPad Mini Micro Mega Max? And they're like, oops, it's the same size as the iPad Mini. Our bad. And at the end, they're like, we're drunk with power.
I know there was one where not Bill Gates, where Steve Jobs was saying or they were pretending to be Tim Cook, and he was saying, just be glad it even has a charging port. Johnny Ive, he won't let me have holes on the device anymore.
Well, they also released a $500 leash that you can get. So you can tether this to anything. Actually, that's just the power cable. As long as it's plugged in,
You're fine.
Good point.
you should
Unless
be
it's
secure.
on top of your desk.
I didn't think about that. Technically, this is a non-issue.
Well, if you've got the handle at the top, you kind of tie the power cord through it one time before you put it down, so it's not pulling on the.
So-
Now,
There's
Don,
a
if it is
replacement
up on
cable.
top of your desk, though, that is an issue still, right? Because if your desk isn't perfectly level.
Well, I don't know
But
if you get the
if
wheel
it's up on your
package.
desk and you
then.
have a wheel pack, you got your own issues. Like that's your fault.
Well, but
You're blaming the victim here.
I'm not leaving my $53,000 Mac Pro at my desk every day. I
Oh,
got
that's
to
true.
wheel that thing out to my car and take it to,
to the
house.
vault. You got to put it in the vault.
I got a safety deposit box space just for that mug.
No, I see like little airline, what do they call them, chocks that you put on each side of it. Like, I'm going to make an Etsy store tonight. That's
I feel like you could buy a vault for less than $53,000 to put your MacBook in.
I think since you've been buying an iPhone every year, you're just supposed to stick your iPhone under the wheel.
the old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thicker ones, like a nice 4 or 5 will fit
Do you
under
remember
there.
those old vacuum cleaners that had the retractable cords, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Electrolux.
So does that have a retractable cord like that? Because if it is, you plug it in, you retract it to where it's taut, and then it can't roll anymore.
Yeah, that's
Until it
smart.
comes unplugged.
Until
But
it
that's
comes
another
unplugged.
$2,000 feature.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't come
That
with
mechanical
standard.
reel is
Yeah.
just, you can't even hear it. The ball bearing.
Joe, were you a Mac guy or a PC guy?
I'm a PC guy, yes.
You know what? Get your stuff.
And a Linux, more Linux than anything.
Oh, okay. You're cool.
you're
now.
all
You can
right.
hang out.
Yeah.
You can hang
I like to
out.
take those old workstations and load some of that Linux stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
buddy.
You know,
That's how I like
Ubuntu and
You could-
BSD.
You could put pieces of an old like Windows laptop underneath as well.
That would stop it from rolling.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you could go buy a brand new set of Chromebooks, I think.
Yeah.
For cheaper than
the wheels.
than the iWedge.
Yeah,
You could at least get like
true.
Fire tablets or something. I'm gonna get the wheel kit though. I don't have this Mac, but I have the MacBook Pro, so I'm gonna get the wheel kit on this just to test it out and see how it works.
So does it have like a proprietary threading system or something?
Probably.
Yeah, because
They're lightning connectors.
because as soon as they showed me that, I was like, I am not paying $100 for a caster.
They just switched them to USB-C. It's really annoying. So, so I just need to get a drill, and I will go ahead and get this taken care of on my work machine.
Well, we've been making fun of Apple, but our next article moves over to the West Coast. Well, no, that Apple's West Coast too. I screwed that one.
moves
up.
north.
This is why I don't do
Man, I tell you
transitions.
what, this podcast has just been filled with
These people stupid.
All right, this one, I know how to pronounce the website here. This is TechCrunch.com. Microsoft's Cortana drops consumer skills as it refocuses on business users. First of all, the news that I'm taking away here is apparently Cortana had consumer skills
Yeah.
before. I didn't realize.
I'm glad you said it because I was like, what? This is
What's
interesting.
Cortana?
Do you use Cortana?
Is that that crazy lady on the Halo
uses
game?
Cortana?
I don't know.
Is that Portal?
So, Apple pushed Siri really hard when they acquired the Siri company and made that their product. And it's not very good, right? Google countered with their Google Assistant, which actually is pretty good. Amazon pushed Alexa, which is decent, right? Certainly Siri is the worst. Well, that's what I used to say. And then Samsung decided instead of just using Google Assistant, we need to launch Bixby, which was pretty bad and nobody used.
You mean the thing I don't use on my phone?
Yeah, and you get frustrated because there's a hardware button,
That you can't disable, or
but that's what you get. Well, Microsoft decided to come in at 5th place with Cortana. Let's create a voice assistant that's part of Windows and the Windows mobile operating system, which is now gone, so really just Windows. And the thing is, people don't use it. And it's super annoying. I get frustrated. Like I turn it off because it takes up too much space on the taskbar on a Windows machine. But I've made fun of it for a while, and I just assumed nobody used it. But now Microsoft is kind of confirming that on the consumer side, people are not using Cortana at all. And so they're removing that functionality from the start menu where real estate is a bit of a concern.
Well, even if I use Siri on my phone, which I do from time to time for certain things.
If you want to go to the wrong place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, setting an alarm or a reminder, things like that. I've
She
never
wakes you
used
up
it
on a
once.
Tuesday.
I've never used it once on my laptop. And now that there's no Windows
On
phone.
purpose.
Yeah, on purpose. I hit that button all the time. But, I mean, I think it's the same thing with Cortana, where it's only on the laptop now 'cause
It
there's no
says
phone.
business users. Does this mean in the near future the only way we're going to be able to get to our SharePoint stuff is to get, hey, Cortana, take me to SharePoint?
you can get to your SharePoint stuff.
That's what I'm afraid of.
We have SharePoint?
Yeah, so I don't know where they're going to be going with this. On the business side, I know there's several Azure services that have Cortana baked in that you can use, and and they have voice navigation prompts when you call into their VoIP servers, which are technically powered by the same thing as Cortana. I don't know where that's going to end up, but for right now, I don't think Cortana's in really great shape, and Microsoft has put a ton of money into it. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see where that goes. You have Cortana support in the Xbox. It's integrated into a lot of different weird things, and we'll just have to see. But I think all of the voice assistants are solving a problem we didn't have.
I'm in my mind. I'm just seeing a movie in the future called like Siri versus Cortana, and like Ford versus Ferrari. In my, Christian Bale's doing the voice of Siri somehow. He's a method actor.
Yeah, he's good.
I don't know how he does it.
He
both in
lost
some-
70 pounds for that, I heard.
They're both in some
It's not
kind of
the
like
first time.
product race, and nobody cares who wins.
Yeah.
So who's listening to your house, Joe? Is it Alexa or?
Actually, we have no devices in our house. I gave it to my
I'm gonna
family.
just
I don't trust those companies.
You know
the
what?
grid.
I like him. I like him. I hate all those things.
Even
he
my
uses his
thermostat has
neighbors.
Alexa.
He's got his
Yeah,
money.
actually,
and Litecoin.
we're known as a surveillance house because I have cameras everywhere, but they're wired. I don't do wireless because I used to be a Navy ET, and I know, how to hijack those signals and stuff. So, anyways, yeah,
So
you don't want to be my
Tempest-
neighbor because I might be listening in.
John, is that the Tempest technology for snatching stuff out of the ether?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's not a bunch of Foss cams?
No.
He got $60 each on eBay. 2 days shipping.
We're still going to do this challenge one week where just during the entire episode, Daniel's over there trying to get it logged into my house to see that one Foss cam. And then 2 minutes into the episode, hey, I got it.
It's funny.
But-
Yesterday, I went down a rabbit hole on Shodan of webcams. I was like, why does this keep showing 200? I'm sure this is a default install. I know I just got to point burp suite at this and I'm in. Don't do it, Daniel. Don't do
that
it.
is
Prison's
illegal.
not worth it.
just to prove a point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, looks like Cortana will be coming to the workplace for everyone very soon. You'll just have everyone just yelling from their cubicles all day. That's
Cortana and SharePoint sounds like a dream relationship, right?
What do you say to her to start it? Because you say,
Oh man.
no, you say Alexa, or you say, okay, Google.
You just say Cortana.
Or Hey
Oh
Siri.
man, I
Is that
thought
all?
you were going for it, Don.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get flagged.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, Justin? What were you gonna say?
You don't want that, do you? World.
No.
Shut
I
down.
like my job.
All right. I'm going to remember to ask you about this one after the episode's over. All right, let's go to our next article from Phoronix. Unity 8 desktop renamed to Lomiri?
Lomiri. Yeah.
Lomiri.
Good job.
Nailed that one.
All right. So,
But I don't understand any of those words I said.
Also
So,
pronounced Lomiri.
Lomiri.
Lomiri. I like it.
Why did they rename it that?
on their website, they actually had the pronunciation, and it was Lomiri. I looked it up because I didn't want to say it wrong. So, Ubuntu, back in Ubuntu 16 and not 18, right? So in 16, they switched to the Unity desktop environment in place of GNOME when they were trying to make it where they could have Ubuntu run on a cell phone, a tablet, a desktop. So it was an all different UI.
Didn't they switch back?
I'm getting the look. They did, right? Because Unity sucked. And most people didn't like it, and they released the Ubuntu phone. It sold a little bit, and then they canceled the project. Exactly.
There you go.
And so when the project failed, so did the Unity desktop. And in the latest versions of Ubuntu, they switched back to GNOME. And so they are on the GNOME interface again. Well, the Unity desktop apparently is the technology that won't die. So it is still being supported by a couple of organizations that are dreaming of a Linux phone or Linux tablets that are out there. The problem is the Unity name is a little bit confusing, and it's got a bad stigma attached to it because it sucks. So they have opted to rename that project to Lomiri. So if you are a fan of the Linux phones or the Ubuntu phones, if you want to follow that, the new title is Lomiri, Lomiri.
I'm glad you did look that up, the pronunciation, because I do the comments on our YouTube page, and I'm still getting comments about Debian.
Yeah. Well, tough.
Debian. Look, you know it's named after people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Their names are.
Wow, there's
George.
those same people making comments now, are they? Peter's like, they're dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, one of them's dead, right? Like.
No, I'm talking about our YouTube comments.
Yeah,
I was going to say, you killed one of the YouTube commenters.
Yeah. So, long story short, he's not commenting anymore. So,
Just going to throw that out there.
I fixed the problem.
Yeah.
So, I assume that, Daniel, you would be first in line for a Linux phone?
Probably not.
No?
I mean, technically, aren't we kind of running Linux phones?
Yeah, I guess we
Android
are.
Anyway.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But you can go hardcore, like the Librem.
I say that. Now let me back up. It might be entertaining for me to have a really mobile hacking platform. So if it's running
Ooh, like a
real
Kali
Linux,
kind of.
yeah, that I don't have to jailbreak the thing to try to make it do something other when it does.
It would have to be a spare device. Like I wouldn't want that to be the
Right.
device I also call 911 from.
Exactly. This would go in my bag when I go to conferences.
Yeah. I remember I had I think it was like a Galaxy S3 years and years ago, and I had flashed a custom ROM onto it. And in the
flashed a street.
yeah, I was a big flasher back then.
Nothing to do with
Big
the
into
phone,
streaking.
but
And I was reading the release notes for one of the new versions of it, and it was like, known issue, cannot dial 911. I'm like, why the hell would you run this? Like, why is this even out there?
No issue. Not really a phone.
Yeah.
So much.
So I have no idea what was wrong with it that would make it not do that, but that's what happens when you mess with your phone.
So just out of curiosity, Lomiri, I understand renaming it to Unity because when I hear Unity, I think the game development platform,
Right.
For 3D or 2D platformer games. But who's still using Lomiri? You said it's not going to die. Like, what is it being used in?
Oh, so they are still developing it and actively upgrading it, hoping that there will be mobile devices. Because the UI was much more responsive to different sizes. Like GNOME does not play well on a 5-inch screen. GNOME, like the DPI scaling in GNOME totally sucks. So to scale down for a smaller screen does not work very well. Wayland tries to fix some of that, but Wayland breaks a lot of stuff. So, most people are left with their standard X window with GNOME on top of it, and Unity solves all that. But there were a lot of different problems with Unity, so it'll continue to get supported. We'll see if it ever goes anywhere.
Waylon Jennings?
Yep.
Waylon Jennings.
Okay. Got
I was
it.
going to break into song here in about 2 seconds.
Finally get to push that now. All right, let's head over to let'sencrypt.org for our next article. Let's Encrypt has issued 1 billion certificates. So this
What do they want, a cookie?
Congrats, Josh and Sarah, authors of this story. So this is a PR piece, obviously, because it's on their own blog here. But 1 billion certs, that's a lot. I wonder, do you think 1 billion people ordered them, or they just sent out?
It's just them ordering their own.
Like,
we're about to hit that billion.
like I like the Let's Encrypt service, but is there anything else in the article past the title?
All right, let's talk about why this is important.
Thank you.
right? Because it is. Last week we had the bombshell from Apple about how they weren't going to support certificates that had a lifetime over 13 months anymore. You know, that your certificate had to have an expiration date within the next 12 months. And that's a bigger push that we're seeing in the industry for people to have certificates that don't last as long, that renew a lot more frequently. And the old pay model, where I had to go to VeriSign to buy a cert, or DigiCert, or somebody like that, where I generate the cert, I pay them to sign it, so now there's a chain of trust that's built up so people can verify that.
Like a blockchain, if you will.
Similar, except entirely controlled by one entity.
This would be a good spot for blockchain.
Yeah, the 50% attack's easy then.
Well, so what Let's Encrypt did is they said, why is this a pay thing? Like, by having this pay boundary in place, it's making people not want to generate excessive certificates, and it's making people want to do 2- and 3-year deals to get a discount, which makes the certificates weaker. So Let's Encrypt took funding from Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, a bunch of really big names in the tech industry, and they created a totally free infrastructure where you can go and generate certificates that are signed by a root certification authority that is trusted by all of the major browsers. And it's reached the point now where most people have no need of actually buying a certificate from a company like VeriSign or DigiCert. You can do it here for free on Let's Encrypt, and it doesn't cost you a dime. And so the fact that they've issued 1 billion certificates shows you that a lot of people are putting their trust in Let's Encrypt. So that's why it's important.
But I got that from the title.
Well, I didn't say I had to read the rest of the damn thing, but
Speaking of browsers, because we have 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this article, and obviously we're not really impressed. Are you still using the Brave browser?
Yeah.
Still liking it?
Yeah. Yeah, I will tell you
Give me a 2-word answer.
Maybe. I was getting her there, jackass. So the only thing I've encountered is if you go to checkout through eCurma, like it's a consistent thing where you go to checkout, there's some kind of post back or there's some kind of tracking that it's going to block, and then you just get like a weird white screen, and you can't progress until you do shields down, and then it'll process your transaction, and then you can shields up.
But fortunately, when you're paying money for something, they don't usually inject a whole bunch of like crazy.
Yeah, it's usually something
ads
small, usually probably for verifying that it's coming from the who would say it's coming from or whatever. So I don't have a problem with that. Well, I have to. It must be a day of like dumb things to do and say, because I was playing with Google Analytics and I was using the Brave browser, and I was like, the dashboard doesn't say there's anybody on this site. Why not? You're stupid. So I had to turn the shields down. I was like, there I am.
Yeah, so our traffic would be through the roof. Which, if everyone's using Brave browser, we have no idea.
Yeah. So
I'm still upset. Yeah, Yanzu, who we interviewed a few weeks back from Brave, has still not retweeted us.
What?
I know. So that's why I'm here today to announce my official endorsement of Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, Edge.
Man, I don't know if that's where you want to plant your flag.
If you're looking for your data to be less secure, Edge.
I don't know that's necessarily a fair claim, is it?
No,
Well, it's less
Edge is
secure.
actually a pretty safe browser.
But not as secure as Brave.
No, it's not as secure as Brave.
Okay, that's my point.
I don't know.
Less
I still
secure
use
is what I
Chrome,
said.
so
on a more important note, where is that fan? I should have went with y'all's recommendation and went and got my fan.
I turned some extra lights on.
Yeah, you did.
the pressure is on now that we know we'll get criticized if we mispronounce anything.
Yeah,
So
I know, right?
everybody's breaking a sweat.
Jump on everybody.
I always sweat.
Joe, what browser do you use at home?
I like to be watched and surveilled, so I use Chrome. How about you?
So I'm getting
Same.
mixed signals from you, Joe.
I put a bunch of plugins too, so that they're always watching.
I
Do you
just
have
use
3 Yahoo?
Chrome. That's just because it integrates with everything, and I just don't want to spend hours solving
So
problems.
that's the thing. That's why I like Brave, because all the extensions that I've used have worked thus far.
Yeah.
I don't use a great number of extensions or anything like that, but I haven't had that many problems.
My requirement for web browser is it needs to run on all my various platforms, and I need bookmark sync. Like those are my 2 important features.
And I think Bookmark Sync is actually using blockchain in Brave.
Oh, really?
In Brave, it is, yeah.
Yes, Brave is a blockchain backed. Yes.
Well, there you go.
That's cool.
I learned something today.
Good
All right, our next article is from our the source that we commonly go to here on TechNado with Don Bissett, People Magazine, people.com. Shark Tank's Barbara Corcoran loses almost $400,000 in phishing scam. Quote, I won't be getting the money back.
Update.
Update. She got the money back today. So basically, I can kind of give us the rundown of what happened here. And it's a little upsetting to say she lost this money because it's not like she got some email and went to it. It
She
was
got
actually
phished.
It was her accounting department.
Beer bra Corcoran. Click the link like she shouldn't.
Oh, now I'm distracted by this mascara ad and this other suggested
it's
article about
Maybelline.
Adam Levine.
So Daniel, help me. These are called BECs, right? Business email.
Oh, yeah.
What's the official name? Do you remember?
So, not off the top of my head.
I think it's BEC.
Yeah, it's so basically the idea is that they get into your system and they create emails that are very pointed toward, hey, I'm in a meeting real quick. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to pay this.
And they said the
because-
email address it came from was only one letter
Right,
off.
because it's easy to spoof them or
Yeah.
just get a domain that's similar, and then people, because of the urgency of it, it's very similar to phishing, right? So because it's coming from the right person,
Yeah.
with the information that looks correct, you go, oh, I need to pay this invoice, or I need to do something monetarily to the business funds, and let's just get that done because it's an emergency. They pay the money, and now you're done.
It's actually pretty sophisticated, and it usually starts with the attackers gaining access to somebody's mailbox, right? Usually through password reuse. So there's some other compromised database out there, and they're able to replay that password into your email system, and they get into your email. But once they're in, they look at your email history, and they see, like, are you somebody in accounting or finance? Are you somebody who pays bills? And then they look at the types of bills that you normally get, that you routinely get. And do you do wire transfers? Do you do credit card payment? Do they figure out what's your normal operation? And then from there, they forge an email and they can insert it directly into your mailbox. So there's not a chance for servers to reject it as being a forgery that shows like, hey, so-and-so needs a wire transfer. And in this case, she does a lot of real estate. And so it was, hey, we need $400,000 transferred into this account for this remodel project that's going on.
Which probably happens all the time. Yeah.
She said it happens a lot. But for her, right? Not for people like us. Yeah. So for me, it would be like, hey, I need $20 to come out of the ATM at Publix.
Please, the cops are here.
Oh, hold on, this is way too high. This is not Don's normal pattern.
How am I supposed to pay this bail?
So in this case, the accountant received it, and she didn't think twice about it. She just forwarded the money because that's what she normally does, and it went to a routing number that was not theirs, to the scammers. Now, she's absolutely right. When she said, I won't be getting that money back, no one ever gets the money back. In fact, this is the first time I've ever heard of anybody getting all of the money back. A German bank had frozen the transaction.
Which was not her bank, but the bank it was going to, I believe.
Yeah.
Well,
And
from what I read, that was because her accountant flagged it as fraud, and they saw that it was flagged as fraud and stopped the transaction. That's why they froze it.
It was
They
it
were-
said
they
that
were
the
requesting.
U.S. bank asked the German bank to freeze it.
Right.
So they must have seen a pattern there. Maybe she doesn't normally send money international. Maybe whatever it was, or maybe they knew. Hey,
I
we've
think
seen
that
this
they
other.
realized they got hit
Yeah.
and said, hey, this is not right. And
we
then
still
the
have a
banks
chance.
froze it. Yeah.
They must have noticed pretty quick because
it was really quick.
I've talked to several people where this has happened, and in every instance, the bank's like, I'm sorry, that money's already been transferred along. And, it's gone, and you can fill out an affidavit, the FBI will take a report, and you can file your insurance claim.
And
That's
when
normally how it
someone throws
is.
a tantrum like a 3-year-old and sets the bank on fire.
Well,
I want my money back.
Well, good for her. It's good to see. It's good to see the little people.
The little people.
Don't get.
But I
taken
really
advantage
needed
of.
that $400,000.
Man, I'm really stopping myself from getting this thing flagged. So let's just move on.
Yeah. So all I
keep
can
saying
think of
that,
is
yeah.
like a weird substitutional cipher where all my business emails are like spam and stuff. And I go, if I count every third letter, Don says I need to come see him.
Bring all your stuff.
Yeah. But it was embedded in this pornography.
But you keep
Now
saying
you
you're going
pulled
to get
the
this.
Ziploc off of it.
Yeah.
Well, but you could do the Pete Townshend thing, right? Where like it was for research.
Listen, you need to pay this anal bleaching bill ASAP.
Yowza.
And then there goes the flag.
So, real quick, Don, I don't think that you would let me claim that. I'm like, hey, Don, fine. This email's fine. It was for research. I'm like, just to get your stuff.
Yeah. Let's research what happens when you're fired.
Unemployment.
Let's research how unemployment works. Yeah.
Well, perfect segue here.
Tell us all
That
about
book.
it.
Where can we get that book, Joe?
Yes, we could get the book at Amazon, of course, and
Oh, I've heard
Barnes
of
and
that.
Noble, and of course wherever you get your fine books.
Here, I'm going to increase sales real quick. Watch. Alexa, add architecting enterprise blockchain solutions to my shopping cart. There you go. You're welcome. All the people that had it on speaker at home.
There you go.
Thank you.
added it.
We just lost subscribers.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Because that thing does not take care who you are.
No, it doesn't.
My
sorry.
daughter the other day, I'm sitting at my desk and my phone rings and says it's my wife. I pick it up, I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, hi, Daddy. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I told Alexa to call you, and she did. She was talking to
crazy.
me through the Alexa.
Nice.
I was like, oh, crap.
And by the way, there was no one still listening after he talked about anal bleaching. So we are
already
set
hung
there.
up.
Actually, if I'm in the car, you're like, turn this up.
This is my jam.
Where does he get it done?
So I don't know what that is, and I'm scared to ask. I was just going to let it go.
Joe, anything else coming up? Trade shows or those are all closed now because of the coronavirus. But what's
that's
going on
a
with
good question. It's hard to know with
Yeah.
all that's going on, but I do hope to go to Consensus up in New York, which is in May, and I'll also be teaching at a IT Pro Camp in Jacksonville as well, coming
Nice.
up in June. So.
if people want to connect with you, is there a personal website or LinkedIn profile? What's the best way to talk to you?
Sure, absolutely. We want to go over to MyBlockchainExperts.net, or LinkedIn is perfectly fine as well.
All right.
And also, I have a new podcast called Techie Cast Jax, where I just talk about tech and what's going on about, blockchain and cloud, and
Is it specific to Jacksonville? Like we're talking about
mainly
companies from Jax?
focused Jacksonville area, but I do, of course, expand out
Sure.
because it's really hard to keep busy in Jacksonville. So
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah. That's, I talked about both the companies here
Like,
using blockchain.
Jacksonville ain't got a lot going on.
Yeah,
What about Gainesville? How's that going?
Crime ridden, bunch
we-
of drugs.
Yeah, they got Wi-Fi for Jack.
We have trees.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a couple things coming up. Want to let you know about here over at IT Pro TV. Oh, what?
No, I was going to mess with you. Carry on. Don't do
Okay.
anything. You're cool.
Feel free to push any of those buttons. First of all, if you head over to itpro.tv/webinars, you can see the upcoming ones. Next one we have is Thursday, March 12th, removing the Slack with Microsoft Teams. That's going to be Adam Gordon and Cherokee Booth. We also, if you head over to that website, you can also see all the past webinars archived. Just did how to train your end user, reimagine performance monitor, a few other things like that. So check that out at itpro.tv/webinars. Also, while you're on the internet, go to go.itpro.tv/Technado, where you can get a 30% off coupon code for IT Pro TV and fill out a form to get a demo for your team for our business plans. Check that all out at go.itpro.tv/Technado. And another cool thing we're doing actually this Friday, but it will be archived in case you missed it. So this Friday is what, the 7th, 6th? 6th. We're playing Backdoors and Breaches, which is a game created by Black Hills Security. Is that right, Daniel?
Black Hills InfoSec.
In Black Hills InfoSec, yeah. What? Yeah, I'm doing this off my head, Justin.
He's like, you are not reading a script there.
But it's
No, I was confused because there's like a date that like overrun. I go, hold on a second.
Mm.
What does this date go to? That's why I look confused.
it's a card game. It's basically like I don't want to say Dungeons and Dragons, but that kind of thing where you're
It is
playing
a game of
It's
chance.
creating a
modeled
scenario. Yeah, you got the 20-sided die and all that fun stuff. But we actually worked with them to create a digital version of the game, but we're going to be playing it live with Daniel, Don, Ronnie, Mike, and Wes.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Different
Sounds like everybody
edutainers.
but me.
Yeah, so it should be a good game then. So it's going to be exciting. That's taking place in the live channel at IT Pro TV, the on-air page. So if you create a free account, you can go ahead and watch that for free and interact with the guys in the chat. They'll be watching that and suggest moves, make fun of them, do whatever. And Justin will be in there heckling. Oh my God, you are just fever sweating over there. First symptom of coronavirus.
But I didn't have it last week, and I still sweated like this. Matter of fact, if we look through the archives, I just sweat like this all the time.
How can we extend this show till Justin just passes out?
I'm not going to pass out because I'm not a sissy.
Plus, he'd probably walk through you first.
Yeah, that's true. He passes out on top of me, trying to get out. Hey, subscribe if you're watching this over YouTube. Subscribe to the channel there and check out all of the other content from IT Pro TV and all the new episodes of Technado with Don Pizzetta each week. Or if you're on iTunes or the other one, Spotify. Thank you.
Newly
Google
on
Play.
Spotify, right? Isn't
Newly
that
on
a new deal?
Spotify. Yeah.
Is Stitcher a thing?
Stitcher's a thing. Podbean's a thing.
Okay.
Other ones I make up probably. Voatz. If you're on Voatz.
PAWDpod.com.
You are trying to drag this episode out, aren't you? Like, is there a minute count we're going for?
Oh my God, I'm dying.
Bro, we've been 3 minutes in.
He's just going to start slinging his sweat on you. There you go.
Joe, thank you again for coming over to join us, and you're welcome anytime that you read a new book.
That'll be a couple more months. I'll see you then.
More importantly, when are we coming to your podcast?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be inviting you fairly soon.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Welcome
build up
to
that audience
Jacksonville.
first.
Maybe you come out to Jax or TPC and we'll do a podcast.
Hey, I like that.
We can do that.
That sounds fun. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Technado with Don Pizzetta.